So we ran 32.56 at the Pulford 10k on Sunday, but will it be enough to get me under sub 16 in the first 5k race in just 8 days time? Well, the signs are good, but I'm still not particularly confident because 10ks have always been my sweet spot. 5ks are something relatively new to me that I started chasing down last year. I'm excited to chase them down this year. What have we got today on the cards? And we'll talk through last week and then of course what we've got for the rest of the 8 days leading up to that 5k. We've got 20 by 200 off 45 seconds easy jog recovery. This is the last week where I'm doing a session 4k worth of volume. It will be bumping up after this, but not next week because next week is race week. So we're here, we're ready for the 20 by 200s. I am dreading this. But before we get into that, let me explain what happened last week. We kick-started Monday with a moderate 75 minutes with 4 by 20 second hill strides. Tuesday, we got the session done, which you guys saw on the channel. If not, there'll be a link at the end of this video to check that one out. That was a good one. Very happy with how that one went. Tuesday evening, doubled nice and easy. Wednesday took a rest day. My normal Thursday threshold session was replaced with an easy run. And within that easy run, I just have 5 times 30 seconds efforts with 30-second floats and then back to easy for finish. Just something to spin the legs a little bit because of course we had the race on Sunday, so I did not do my usual threshold session then. Friday easy, Saturday shakeout and strides, and of course Sunday was the race. So that means we've kick-started this week slightly differently. Monday was not moderate 75 in strides. Monday was just 75 minutes purely easy because Tuesday today is the second session. So the way I've structured these 2 weeks, which is last week and this week, is that I'm using Sunday's race, and Tuesday's session today as the 2 sessions that I'm going to be getting done over these 2 weeks. And then for the rest of this week, I'm swapping Thursday and Saturday around. So Thursday, I'm just going to get a nice steady long run done. No session, no tempo in that. I'm just moving my threshold session to the Saturday so that I've got room to recover, but I'm using effectively Sunday's race as my Tuesday session and then today's Tuesday as my Thursday session. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to space things out is what I'm trying to tell you, because I don't recover and I don't have that bounce back ability like I used to back in my 20s and early 30s. So here we're out on a nice stretch of trail which is in the middle of the forest. This is the Magic Rugby Ball. So we ran on the Magic Triangle in Middle England just on Sunday, but this is like a rugby ball shape. So effectively it starts sort of just there, goes to a point and then it goes down there, kind of around that way, not quite a rugby ball shape, but then gets to a point again and then comes back up this way here and finishes up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize this side of the trail because I can stack the cameras on a couple of these logs down here, and we're just going to get on with it. Not got the head cam today, just want to focus on this one. Dreading it actually, to be honest with you. 20 by 200 with 45 seconds easy jog recovery or walk. It's probably going to be a walk, to be honest with you. And the reality is I've been knocking out 33s, 34s in my workouts that I've been doing, but I've had slightly longer recovery, so I think these are probably going to more like come out 34, 35, 36, which is fine. It's still under 5k goal pace, and that is the mission of this session. These fast sessions are just to run faster than goal 5k pace. So let's get the drills and strides done and see if we can get this one done. So I feel it's really important for me to say at this point that the drills and strides seem to be really making a difference, which is no surprise, to be honest with you. I usually do them once a week, generally throughout the year, but I've been making an effort to do them twice a week, once before the speedy session, once before the threshold session, and they're starting to feel a little bit easier. Everything's feeling a little bit snappier, and I'm finding that my fast turnover is coming a little bit more naturally to me, as you'll start to see as this session progresses. So in the middle of a forest, I have just found a cone. How bloody random is that? So with this little rogue Christmas tree on its own, I will put the cone here, and this will be a great place to put the camera. So my goal for this session, as I mentioned earlier, was just to ease into things and see how I felt. 200s are something I haven't done like the 400s for a very long time. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I did a 200 meter session. It must have been years. I started week 1 with 260 seconds recovery. Last week I went down to 45 seconds, so I wanted to continue with that trend and hold it at 45 before later in the block bringing that down to 30 seconds. And although this surface isn't quite as good as Linear Park, not quite as fast, I did find a good racing line through the track where there was the least amount of gravel, and I did seem to get some good traction out there. So the goal here was just, as I said, to tick along and get the first few out of the way. Now mentally, I've broken this session down into 4 groups of 5. So when I got to the 7th rep, I distinctly remember thinking, well, you've already got a quarter of it done and you actually feel not too bad. This could be a good day. I knew going into it during the warm-up that I felt good. The drills and strides felt good. So it was just a case of being patient, getting over halfway and seeing how the legs responded when we got to rep 11, 12 and 13. So I hit rep 12 and felt really darn good, to be honest with you. I was running 33, 34, 35 second 200s out on this gravelly track, and I was thinking that I had plenty more in the tank. I was feeling good. I was taking a sensible walk recovery, getting back into the next one and really not feeling too bad. So I decided at this point just to notch it up and see what I had. So if you keep an eye on the times, you might notice that we get down into the realms of 32, 33 and 34. With 4 to go, I will be honest with you, I was still feeling ridiculously good. And to be honest, going through my mind, I was thinking, God, I prefer 200s way more than 400s. They are so much more manageable, even with a slightly shorter recovery. So I was just getting to the point now where I was squeezing it down and I was just holding. I thought to myself, you raced on Sunday, you don't need to push anymore now. This is just a session, bank it, and we can have an easier rest of the week. You'll enjoy your long run on Thursday and we can attack a good threshold session on Saturday. So let's wrap this one up. Come on. That was amazing. There we go, absolutely delighted with that one. Worked into that, eased into it. The first 10 were hard but controlled, and then I just took my foot off the gas a little, I eased my foot onto the gas a bit more and just pushed a bit harder, and it's finished strong. And I felt really good today. 200s are way better than 400s. And so in the past, what's happened in a race week is I've effectively carried on doing Tuesday, Thursday sessions, and then sometimes raced, and then in the past, years ago, tried to then do Tuesday, Thursday again, and it just never worked. So because I felt quite fresh leading into the pool for 10k, I actually ran on my easy run yesterday and felt really good because I hadn't done any intensity leading up to that race since the Tuesday, which was fantastic. So I felt really fresh. I felt good yesterday and I felt really good today, but I'm not going to push my luck. We'll then, as I said now, do a long run on Thursday, just a steady long run, no tempo, nothing like that. And it's going to be easy and steady work now until Saturday, where we shall do the threshold session. So let's get a 3 mile cool down done and wrap this one up. So as you saw when I was out there, very happy with that session. Lovely to be able to progress that down and still feel really good. I've walked away from that session, had a good session with the massage gun, feeling good, ready for the easy double a little bit later on. I think what's really pleasing, more so than anything, and it could be the fact that I've switched up from 400s to 200s. Of course, I'll be mixing and matching intervals, but I wanted to get a dedicated 200 session done just to remind myself because it's been so long. But the great thing is I'm starting to feel a little bit snappier, a little bit quicker, a little bit fitter, and it's a wonderful feeling. Yesterday's easy run, I couldn't believe I was holding 727 heart rate. I had my watch covered. I never look at my watch on the easy run if I can help it, and the heart rate came out 132 beats a minute, and I was still out there on the rolling trails feeling really good. So things are obviously clicking nicely. The key now is don't push your luck. As I said, later this week I'll get my steady long run done, and then I'll take you guys probably on the Saturday session, which will be a good threshold one, which leads me into next week. So what I plan to do for next week is again have an easy and steady Monday and Tuesday. It'll probably be steady then easy, and I'll still double on the Tuesday. I want to keep the mileage high. This isn't a particularly like peak race. This is the one where I feel like I could maybe go sub 16, but the real focus is at Battersea Park. So don't want to taper for next Wednesday. I want to go into it with higher mileage, but just less intensity. So that'll be the plan for then. And then of course I've got a session penciled in for Friday. So that'll be my Tuesday, Thursday will be moved to Wednesday and Friday. And then I'll have a slightly easier long run on the Saturday. So do I think that 32.56 is giving me enough in the tank and also up here to believe that I can go sub 16? The honest answer is yes, I think I'm now there. I think I'm in that shape. What's really interesting is the Coros race predictor has been so accurate since I've come off the back of Abingdon Marathon, since I've got a good amount of training in there, since I've got the earlier races done in the year. When I went out to do a 5k time trial on the industrial estate a few weeks ago before Alicante half, I actually managed to get within 3 seconds of its prediction. I think it was 16:08 and I ran a 16:11 or 16:12, something like that, on a course that's not particularly great. Then at Bourton it predicted me 33:08 and I ran 33:11 or 12, was it? I can't remember. Again, 3 or 4 seconds within that, and my 5k time at that point was 16:01, I think it was. And after Bourton it went down to 15:58 and it told me my 10k time should be 32:58. So then that rolled over to the weekend just gone with Pulford, where I ran 32:56, and now Coros has updated and bumped me down, saying I should be able to run a 10k in 32:45. I'm like, whoa, it's taken me 2 years to get to there. Let's just pause and see where we go from there. But interestingly, it's brought my 5k down to 15:56, and I've always been within 3 or 4 seconds of it, so I'm hoping that is a good omen. So we go, that's that one banked, and then of course next week I'll get another session done. But as we get closer to race day, so that funnel will start to squeeze. I've explained it a few times before, and I had a great question on last week's video. Andy, in a nice way, do you think you are kind of like overreaching a little bit? Do you think you're pushing too hard in these sessions? Your paces are not particularly reflective of someone that's just about to break 16 minutes in the 5k, or that is your current fitness. And I totally get that. I really do understand. What I tend to do and the way I tend to work through these training blocks, and I do it across every single distance, is at the start of a training block I tend to start with paces obviously above and below the goal race pace, and I'll do those sessions, and then as I get closer to race day I'll squeeze that gap closer and closer. And at this point, around sort of 4 or 5 weeks from the goal race, I'll start to do race specific stuff. In a marathon I bring it back out to about sort of 7 or 8 weeks, but around this point here I'll really lock in and get some solid goal pace reps done as I really squeeze it down. So then hopefully by the Safa 5k and the end of May, I'll be at the point where I'm doing more goal pace work, less of this super fast stuff. I'll still be doing some of it, but not in the volume that I am now, and much more goal pace orientated stuff so that my body gets used to it. I always find that if I really work on those supporting paces above and below now, that when I get down to goal pace it feels so much easier. So I hope that explains it. And if you miss the excitement from the weekend, I'll make sure I leave a link to the video up here, which is of course the Pulford 10k, where I finally broke 33 minutes, and then I'll leave a link down here, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, to last week's session. If you missed that one, it was a spicy one. Go check that one out, and I'll see you guys over on one of those.